So we're aware that a number of people that are here tonight have come from a fair distance to join us, so we thank you for your effort, for your presence, for your support, for your love, for your commute. So I don't have any opening remarks, so the floor is open for questions, reports, comments. Anything goes. I see a hand. Yes.
The other day at Darshan.
You really got to speak up.
Okay. The other day.
Speak up, because everybody's dizzy from this new floor.
It's amazing.
There's no accounting for taste. They did not ask us. They don't ask us anything.
If enough people go into that electric shock, they'll switch it out again.
You may continue.
Okay. So the other day at Darshan, you were talking about growing up, and you said, you know, if you can't pay your bills on time, then God isn't for you. So when you said that, it didn't really affect me. So I was like, no, I know what I have to get together, but I know God. But then over the next couple of days, I started to get really angry. And I was like, how dare you say that?
Oh, I thought you meant angry at God. You mean angry at me.
Yeah. So then that led me to just some other stuff unraveling. And I remember one time Sky asked me, he said, do you think that you'd be willing to allow yourself to be successful? And when he asked me, I was like, yeah, duh. Yeah, but I filed that question away because I was like, well, you know, why would someone ask you that if they're not, you know what I mean? So now, just through looking into it, you know, I think there's a detrimental answer because I feel like the answer isn't no, but it's definitely not yes. And
So that's good information.
yeah, it's good information. But
Because it isn't about what the answer is, it's about not fooling yourself. So whatever the real answer is, it's valuable to know.
so then that led me to the question that, am I fooling myself that, you know, that I say that I'm not a seeker anymore and I'm a finder? Or am I just not living as a finder? Or does that not have anything to do with it?
I don't know. You have to figure that out.
I don't think that I'm fooling myself about that. But I would like to know how to.
See how easy that was?
Yeah, I just want to make sure. I would like to know how to remove that barrier and just allow myself to be successful. Is it just like you said, like just do it?
Don't know. Forget about barrier, all that mind concept, and just go with the truth. You're saying, somebody asked me, am I willing to be successful? And I now am aware, for whatever reason, somehow I have now become aware that the answer may not be no, but I'm aware that it's definitely not yes. So that's all you need to do. Stick with the truth. I know the answer to am I willing to be successful? I know the answer is not yes. So now know that. Don't go back to fooling yourself because you never thought about it clearly before. Now live with the truth of that answer. Be with the facts. That's all that you have to do, because anything that has to happen as a result will happen by itself if you start with self-honesty, if you start with the truth of what your real attitude is. Then it'll come to you sooner or later. Well, is that okay? Is that not okay? Do I need to do something? Do I not need to do? It'll clarify itself if you start with the truth. The truth is a clarifier. It takes you to the next step if there's to be a next step. You don't have to figure anything out.
Okay, so I can just actually have patience instead of asking the next question? Just sit with that truth?
It's new information. Up until now, you didn't know the answer was not yes. Your mind gave a quick answer when he asked you, and you said, well, of course, what's the matter with you? Why would you? Who the hell doesn't want to be successful?
Yeah,
So now you're past that easy answer, and you're more know something about what your real attitude is. Now, accept that that's your real attitude. Don't rush ahead immediately to figure something out, because that's not leaving room for clarity to come. Don't involve your mind, because your mind actually isn't involved. Many people are not willing for success. It's not a mind game. It's an attitude thing. It's deeper than the mind. So we'll see what comes to you. Because the truth is, you have to look at all the facts. That's the attitudinal fact. But the other fact is, you took over a business, what, now almost 2 years ago? And you haven't run it into the ground. It didn't go out of business. You knew almost next to nothing about business when you started. And it's still a going concern. So something in you obviously is capable, and something in you obviously is okay with success, because you haven't destroyed it. And believe me, people start businesses every day and then quickly destroy them, because they really can't handle success. So something in you is on the right track. And that's why now you're capable of seeing the truth about your actual attitude. So you're not in bad shape. So don't worry, and see what clarifies by itself before you bring your mind in, which will just confuse you.
Right, it is. It's an all kind of path. So it's, I've gained a lot of patience through working with you, so I'm like, oh, I just have to realize that and just wait, I'm do much better than that.
That's right.
But it made me think of, so maybe this is just my mind. One time you said to someone, you've been standing on the edge of God your whole life and you're just scared to jump. So I was like, it's too much mind stuff, right? I'm like, yeah. Forget what I said to somebody else, because I didn't say it to you. I know, but
I don't deal in generics. I'm a brand name guru. I only talk to individuals. I don't talk to groups. I only talk to individuals. Even when I'm talking to the whole group, I'm talking to individuals. You can't give anything to anyone generically. It has to be individual. It's amazing. I will talk publicly You know, I mean, somebody will come up to me afterward and tell me what I said. Somebody else will come up afterward and tell me something completely different that I said. A third person will. It's amazing what you hear. So something is going on beyond the words. And I'm not responsible for that. So it's I say this over and over, it's very dangerous to listen to what I say to Mr. Smith and Mrs. Jones and apply it to yourself. Be very sure that it applies to you if you're going to do that. Because I don't talk to groups, I talk to individuals. It may have nothing to do with you, and spiritual seekers are very good at developing intern's disease. You know what intern's disease, you know? You think it's all applies to you. It doesn't all apply to you. Some of it may, some of it may not. If it's useful, great. But be sure that it applies to you before you take it on like an overcoat and, you know, you might smother yourself. If it doesn't apply to you, what do you need to take it on for? You got enough of your own issues. Don't borrow somebody else's. I've almost talked to you since the first day you came about nothing else other than growing up. And you're well on your way. So don't worry about anything else.
Okay.
And unlike most people, you actually listen to me. You actually do what I suggest to you. So I have no complaints.
But my bills aren't paid on time.
Well, you've got a ways to go. You've got a ways to go. But the second conversation we had 2 years ago, you were telling me how you were going to skip out on the rent and go cross-country traveling because you couldn't pay your bills.
I didn't say that. It was an
Pretty much.
I said it was an option. You said it was an option. Now it's not an option.
Yeah, because I told you don't do that. I told you you're just repeating a pattern you've lived your whole life of running away from responsibility, and that's not spirituality. That's immaturity. I think you're doing great. It may seem like a long time to you, but it's been a short time and you've come a long ways.
Well, I do think I came a very long way, and people always say, oh, you don't make money until the first 3 years of business and all this, but I don't have that time to wait.
That's
anymore.
right.
I don't think I.
That's right, you have to pay your bills.
Yeah. I can't wait until it starts to make money because I didn't set it up like a business where, you know, you have
Well, it's never too late.
to set aside.
It's never too late. Okay. Enough business talk. For those wanting a good salon spa experience, go. Free advertise. You give a discount to Bodhi Center attendees? There you go. 90% off.
It's true. I don't have the menu online, so I can make it up as you get there.
All right, who else? I'll get to you. You can come up. You can.
So I had
You got a speech prepared?
no, I get hot flashes
Oh.
from my ass. I might have to fan myself. Not sure why yet, but I found myself in a workshop yesterday, a Marianne Williamson workshop, that was, I guess the premise of it was a bunch of women getting together to get all empowered and go feed all the hungry and solve the hunger problem of the children of the world. And I ended up leaving in the middle of the day because it felt, I don't know, it just felt really wrong to me. It felt like a lot of things that I used to do that just were kind of what led me here. It was just that whole kind of ego hype, like puff up thing going on, and everybody was all excited and everybody was really happy, but something inside of me just said, this doesn't feel good.
Wasn't your cup of tea?
No, it wasn't my cup of tea. So I left. And what I really can't understand is why, I talked to Galani yesterday, and she said that basically for me, like, it was a victory because I didn't choose the drug of that experience. It's just to not get all wrapped up in that, as alluring as it was. But I find myself today feeling really depressed and kind of downhearted, and a little bitter and a little jealous. There's something there that was very alluring. It's like everybody was so happy. It's the same way that I felt in the past, like when I go to a God day.
And you left because you knew it wasn't real. It was just pumped
Right.
up.
But I can't figure out why it's got me feeling so deflated today. I feel like, I was very...
After the pump up comes the deflation.
But I didn't get pumped up. I kept noticing myself wanting to
Yeah,
go
but
there.
the energy was there.
Yeah, the energy was definitely there. But in addition to that, I just feel like bummed out. I feel like this path with the kind of, not the ego pumping up, the constant kind of being just kicked down is what it feels like sometimes, is just so arduous and challenging and continually challenging, and I feel kind of jealous of those people that they can get pulled into all that. They're the lucky ones, and I'm the sucker who's in graduate school. But it felt like it was a candy store, and everybody was just eating all the candy and getting really high. And I had to go to the mines where people are working their ass off to get a diamond every once in a while. That's how I feel today. And so one of my questions is, I don't know what your take is on why I was even there. If that might have something to do with my recent revelation of being a finder, and then maybe I had.
How would I know why?
feedback.
How would I know why you were there?
But you know all.
Oh yeah, I know.
Can I have a
I just, yeah.
Well, that's the first problem. So why were you there? I don't know why you were there. What are you asking me for?
I don't know. I think there was a part of me that was just missing.
If I was
that.
there, I know why I'd be there. Marianne Williamson's a babe. But I'd be afraid to go into all those hyped up women.
And it was a bat night.
Look, come on.
There's actually 3 guys there. They got a lot of love.
I'm sure they did.
No, they weren't.
They were. They were.
I was at lunch with one of them. He was definitely not gay. But I know she's about 70% of her audience is usually about it. But I don't know. I still think that candy just looks very alluring to me. That whole new age kind of.
Enjoy all the candy you want if you're willing for diabetes. That's the real answer. There's a price. If you want spiritual diabetes, go have tons of candy.
But I can't. I mean, that's what I learned yesterday.
Your legs will fall off.
I mean,
You'll go blind.
like I was.
And when you're blind, you can't find your legs. When they fall off.
Yeah, well, it definitely was not.
So I have ruined.
Yes, you have.
I have ruined you. I have ruined you for spiritual nonsense. That's what you're describing. And there's plenty of spiritual nonsense out there. One of the signs that it's spiritual nonsense is if it's motivational. You don't need motivation. That's just pumping you up. I'm not a motivational speaker. I don't try to pump you up with anything. I'm not trying to get you to feel a certain way. If somebody's trying to get you to feel a certain way, they're selling you something. And now you're more aware that that's non-nutritious. Now you can identify, you can spot the cotton candy more easy. So that's good news. And yes, real spiritual life, sorry to wax serious here, but genuine spiritual life is not for the faint of heart. It is arduous. It is, at certain stages, difficult. And there comes a turning point where you have to be accepting of that if you want the real deal. If you want cotton candy, no problem. You don't have to have any difficulties. He just pays your money and gets pumped up. But if you've gotten to the point where cotton candy isn't good enough for you, good for you. And maybe that's a little depressing when you realize that you can't fool yourself so easy anymore. That the excuses don't take so easily anymore, that you can't be irresponsible toward yourself and towards people and towards God so readily anymore. That's not bad news. Maybe depressing, but not bad news. So I'd say, good for you.
Yeah, it just kind of feels like somebody just told me Santa's not real. And like, even if there's a part of you that knew that was true, and okay, that's great, but I don't know, it just feels like a letdown of some sort. And like I said,
It is a letdown. It's a letdown to realize that something you thought was valuable actually is just fluff. That is a letdown.
yeah,
You know, it's about illusions being shattered. That's not a fun process.
no.
But a genuine spiritual life requires you to relinquish your actual illusions.
It's just so shocking. I mean, those crowds are so big, you know. And I look at the Bodhi Center, and like we're growing
Yeah.
very slowly, and it's just like, wow, how did I find myself in this small group? You know, which is like as well good news, but on some level, just really like troubling a little. But I can't figure out why.
Well, bring your friends.
I've tried. They run.
Yes. Yeah, because
they all love that fluff.
because
They all
here
love that
because
ego puff-up.
because here you're not gonna get candy. We can have fun, but it isn't cotton candy. It's not my job to motivate you. It's not my job to make you feel good. I have one and only one job, to bring you to God any way I can. You don't have to go, but I have to try. Well, that's not, that's not a skate. Now, when I was a kid, I loved cotton candy, really. I just adored cotton candy. I just couldn't wait. Once a year, this fair came that my parents took me to. They let me out once a year. And I just couldn't wait, because there's cotton candy at that place. That's the only time there was ever cotton candy. Aaron can tell you, like about 5 years ago, on the promenade, and I haven't had cotton candy since I was, I don't know what, teenager. I said, I'm going to have some cotton candy, because, man, did I used to love cotton candy. I took one. It was horrid. You got to be a kid. You got to be immature. You got to have unsophisticated taste to love crap. So maybe you're growing up.
Yeah.
Maybe you're becoming a more sophisticated consumer of what's out there.
Yeah.
It's depressing to grow up. Don't think that you'll always jump for joy every time you advance in maturity.
Well, it also just felt really strange to be in a group of people that big and
To be the only one who walked out.
be the only one. Who
Yeah,
walked
and
out.
they're all jumping around,
Yeah.
hugging.
There's still a part of my mind that's going, "You're crazy. What are you thinking? That was you absolutely should have stayed there, and you should have come back, and you should have made a lot of friends, and it
Should have made trouble. Marianne Williamson, you're a phony. She has nice hair, doesn't she?
I used to want to be her. She's a very
I want to be her. She makes millions.
She does. She makes a lot of money.
Yeah. Who wouldn't want to be Marianne Williamson? She's beautiful, she's rich, she's admired. She's single?
Oh yeah, which nobody can figure out, by the way.
I didn't say nothing.
No, you didn't. All right.
Lipstick.
I guess I just expected it to feel a lot different. To know the truth and to take a stand on that in that moment.
That's right. There's no guarantee it'll feel good. When you go with what you know and you are able to be more true to yourself, that's no guarantee that it's going to feel good. Write her some hate mail. Demand your money back.
I thought about it, actually.
Don't make trouble. She's a nice lady.
I figured.
She actually does good work.
Yeah.
And if you're to the point where you recognize real nutrition versus cotton candy, good for you. Be happy. She did you a service. She showed you what you've gone beyond.
Yeah, that's why I actually wasn't gonna ask for my money back, because I figured if anything, it made me feel stronger about my work with you and my path here, and that's always good.
Good.
All right, thank you.
But remember, sometimes you'll do what's right for you and it won't feel good. Don't expect it to feel good just because you knew it was right for you. That's the mistake. Sometimes it'll feel bad. You don't know how it's going to feel till you live it, till you do it. It's all an experiment every time. So don't have this set idea that if I do what's right for me, everything's going to be great, I'm going to feel great. No, you might be depressed. You might feel horrible. It's not about how you feel. It's about more and more being capable of doing what's right for you. And you are becoming more capable of that. No question. Even though I have to drag you kicking and screaming, but you're kicking a little less than you used to. How many times have you almost run away? Yeah, that's right. But so far you're persisting. So I can't ask more than that. Okay?
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I had a report and a question. The report is that when I said no to the investments, I noticed very, very quickly there was a lot more. I was able to see much more clearly the.
You want to just bring them up to date in 10 words what you're talking. So they're not in the dark what you're talking about.
I was looking at, I had investment opportunities through my family that financially were very good investment opportunities. And Premodaya suggested that I not pursue them.
I'm the full service guru. I give investment advice, personal advice, financial advice,
Business clubs.
business, everything. Because I'm not an ivory tower guy. I'm from the street. I'm ghetto, dude. Because that's something I know about. If I know about it and I can help you, and I'm sure, then I will. It's not investment advice, it's spiritual advice. But it may be on the topic of investing. But the purpose isn't to give you investment advice. The purpose is to point you spiritually in the right direction. And I don't give it, and I don't even open my mouth unless I'm absolutely sure. But you're always free to take it or leave it. I don't hold grudges if you ignore my suggestions.
So I
It's not my job to run your life.
I know that, and
Although some of you try to get me to run your life.
and I really got that, and I made the choice to say no, and I noticed previous to that, there was very much confusion, as you know, and after that, I saw much more clearly the control and the dependency, so much so that I almost how my whole life almost this feeling of being a puppet,
Hmm.
which
It's not almost.
being a puppet,
Hmm.
and what you had said, that my whole life I've been left out of the equation, and I am what I produce, and I saw that. And what was amazing is that I saw it, the superficial and the deep, and I was transcribing something where you said my job is to help you go deeper, because on the superficial level, everyone's nice, everyone's loving, everyone's kind.
Only here.
I don't know. I mean, to me, that if I was believing the senses, everything.
Yeah, you have a naive view of the world, yes.
Well, and related to that, I actually felt that the naivete, I think, was that same part of that same link, because when I said no, there was also a diminishing of the naivete, and I was able to see much more deeply what was going on. And I also had a taste of freedom. And, everything, and what you had said of, everything comes at a everything comes at a cost. In just, and the whole exchange and the allure of.
No door opens without another door closing.
Right. And the whole process, and it
That's why I usually go out the window.
It's astounding to me how reality, and I've had many of these experiences where the senses, what we're seeing, is not what's happening. And I have more and more experience of that what is real is not what I think, what I perceive is totally wrong, that it's missing something. It's not
It's not necessarily accurate.
right. And the other thing about that report was, once I took that step, I began to see next steps. And in this case, strategy of one foot in front of the other. But
So what's all this got to do with Marianne Williamson?
That was the investment.
well, it's interesting that you say that, and that you said that, because I empathize very much, having come from trained in and working in the self-help field, and now not only out in the entire community I experienced, I created, I was in, but the very work I do is, the whole thing is on its head. So I understand completely what you said. If you want to make someone feel, this is going to lead right into my question. If you want to make someone feel a certain way, you're selling them something. And you've said to me a couple times, and I would need further clarification, or would like more clarification, that is related to this whole thing. What, helping people. And you say, stop helping people. It's your ego. It's your subconscious. Something subconsciously is making you help people. And when I actually trace where that whole thing came from, and it makes sense. But I find myself, I would like more clarification on what that means, or how to, how to do it because I find myself being nice, being confused on being nice to people versus helping people. A whole way of relating that is wrapped up in that in some way. That is in very much a product of the self-help movement, and which really helped me. It helped me help myself.
Yeah.
So it's successful. Now how do I go beyond that? And so if you could help.
I've already taken care of it. You're welcome. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's the mind wanting to find an out. And I don't play that.
The asking of the question.
The question comes up because the mind would like to find a way to stay naive. But I've got a stranglehold on your naivete, and I'm going to win. So I can't help you there because I can't give you the game. Good luck.
I'll need more than luck.
Okay? Answer your mind. You may think I do, but I never answer your mind. Who else? Okay.
So, in the last darshan, I was bringing up about not being a seeker, and it's certainly clear that I don't know if that's the case yet. My mind would like that to be true, but what is much more clear is you had said that it's important for me to focus more on service, and
I did? When did I say that?
4 months ago, probably.
To you specifically?
Yeah. You said I
Okay.
should- a long time ago, you said I should focus more on my attitude when I'm doing service, and then you specifically said 4 or 5 months ago that I should do more service. And I've been doing that, and
Yeah, and then the other day I said, someday you'll actually do it.
that's what my question is, because I definitely it only is right that I serve, I mean, it feels right and it's very joyful when I do what I call serving, but my question is, because I obviously don't understand what real service is to you, and my question is what is that? What does that look like? What is service?
Well, who's interested in this topic, raise your hand. Because the problem is that I could talk about this for weeks, endlessly. Raise your hand all the way up high. All right, so a number of people are interested. I'm not going to spend the rest of the evening discussing this. I could spend the rest of my life discussing it. But let me see what I can say briefly so that we have time for other things. And this doesn't have to be the last time we discuss it. It's not something I've discussed. Have I ever discussed service ever in a public forum?
Not in a public
Yeah,
forum.
all right. So this is a first, ladies and gentlemen. So the first thing to understand is you're already serving whoever you are, however you live, whatever your life is. You're already in service to something. There's no way around that. A human life is a service vehicle. You're serving something. If you're the average American, you're serving money and things. That's the first. That has to be said as the basis before you say anything else about service. So nobody is not serving. You do have some choice about what you serve and how you serve it. But do you have a choice about whether you get to serve something? No. That's if you're alive, you're serving something. Actual service in regard to a actual, genuine guru is another matter. That is the rarest opportunity for the most pure sadhana, the most pure type of spiritual practice. For the simple reason that by accomplishing the service, by doing the service, you have bypassed all egoic tricks and traps, because you don't have to have a certain attitude and you don't have to do a certain way. You just have to do the service. It's self-fulfilling in that sense. The ego can't be involved. If it's actual service, the ego is bypassed just by the action of the service itself. And anytime the ego is out of the picture, you have raised yourself. You've gotten one notch further. So service is the most beneficial opportunity in spiritual life. Now, that's the second thing that has to be said in regard to your specific question. The third thing that has to be said is that almost none of us are ready for service. Because actual service has to be non-attached, non-egoic, is not performed or carried out with any feeling of fulfillment, and is, now we're talking about in relation to if you have a guru, and is accomplished involuntarily as a function of the disciple-guru relationship. So you are, in essence, if it's real service, drawn into service. And the service amounts to an non-attached, worship-based activity. Not meaning you worship the guru, but meaning that the doing of the service itself, whatever the task is, whatever is done, amounts to worship itself. Service is prayer in action. Service is when you become the prayer. And that prayer uplifts you. The problem is that it isn't prayer unless you're in the proper state. Most of us are far from it. This is why in the East, service is a privilege. If there's, let's say, lots of fantastic gurus in India that have tens of thousands of disciples. Out of 10,000 disciples, 9,000 may ask to do service. Out of that 9,000, 3 are told, yes, you may do service. Why are 8,997 told no? Because they're not ready. They're too impure. So real service is a privilege. We don't understand this in this country. This is better understood in the East, particularly in India and Tibet, where this is within the culture. This is traditional, this is well understood. So to be granted the privilege of service by the guru in those situations is considered a fantastic boon, a fantastic situation, because it means the guru is saying, you are ready, you are good enough, you are pure enough, you've come far enough that your service has value. Your service can actually be used, rather than it's just looks like service on the outside, but on the inside there's nothing in it, because your ego's involved, because it isn't the real deal yet. My problem is I'm a little local neighborhood guru. I don't have thousands of disciples or people who support me. I have you, which I'm eternally grateful for. And I don't care how many people come, don't come, who's interested, who's not. I have to do my job. And the trouble is, I'm only one guy. And it's a lot of work even having a little mom and pop spiritual center like the Bodhi Center. So I have to rely on volunteers. And don't think that I don't love and appreciate everything the volunteers here do. We wouldn't exist without the volunteers. But the problem is people convince themselves they're doing service without having taken up the attitude, the inner attitude, that turns the service into a self-purification that actually benefits you beyond description. Now, even doing the service that isn't yet the real deal will benefit you tremendously. And people report feeling something from doing the service. That's great. It's not my job to police you and make you do service in the right way. You will grow into it. You got to start somewhere. You will grow into it if you persist. But my dilemma is that I'm obligated to offer this to the public, to whoever's interested. And I can't do it by myself. So I don't say no to anybody's request to service. I can't afford to, because we don't even have anywhere near enough help as it is. And I ain't getting no younger. But I would like to be in the position of those Indian gurus who out of 10,000 people say yes to 2 or 3 who are actually able to serve, because my life would be much easier. I wouldn't have to put up with all the crap that goes on. But that's in God's hands. I have nothing to do about it. So service is the highest form of spiritual practice, but you get that benefit only if you prepare yourself to actually engage in selfless, egoless service. Up till that point, it amounts to at least some degree of self-gratification. Real service has no self-gratification in it. Real service is actually selfless. The boon of service is for every moment you're doing the service, you are in selflessness. You have let go of the ego. Every moment you're not in the ego is good for you. Every moment you're not in the ego is more practice on how to once and for all step away from that. And that's what the spiritual path is, learning how to not live in your ego. Nothing works better than service. Enough said. Does that help?
It does.
Life. You can only know it from tasting it yourself. But to have the opportunity for service is, there's no better opportunity in a human life for actual advancement. You can actually tell the ego to go screw itself, because basically, by simply doing the service, the ego is left out of the picture. That's the beauty of it. No other practice, no other spiritual practice of any kind, and there are wonderful and tremendous and effective spiritual practices, lots of them, but no other practice besides service guarantees the immediate subjugation of the ego, guaranteed. Do the service and the ego's not in it. Even if the ego's in it, the ego's actually not in it because you're doing the service. And the ego can't abide with that. It's like, you're doing it. Oh! You know, so it's like kryptonite, that whole thing, you know? Service is kryptonite to the ego. If you mature in your service, you'll see. Until then, you got to fake it. You just do it and hope for the best. So don't make a problem out of this. Like, oh, Premodaya said I'm not really at the point of real service. Don't go there. Just do whatever is right for you to do, and it'll take care of itself if that's God's will.
Just one quick thing before we go on.
Does it involve Marianne Williamson?
She's definitely hot, I agree with you. But that feeling of joy and excitement that I'm doing it,
That's a good sign. That's a good sign. That's a good sign that the real deal is on its way. That's like an appetizer. Wait for the real meal to be served. Yes, ma'am.
I'd actually like to come up because it would make me.
I would love for you to come up because
The reason why is because it makes me really uncomfortable.
I can put a bell on your shoe.
I'm not interested in people becoming uncomfortable for no reason other than they think it's challenging to feel uncomfortable.
No, you told me at the retreat, you said you would wish for me that I am uncomfortable as much as possible.
That's a whole other thing.
Okay, well, I'm trying to be uncomfortable, so here we go.
Well, relax. I'm a very nice fellow
I don't doubt that anymore.
anymore. Zing!
Took a while to get Sounds not perfect. Okay.
Apparently I know everything, so
I know.
I must be perfect.
So before I met you, I used to think I was a person who never had any spiritual experiences because I was far too practical for those kinds of things.
And I set you straight.
Well, life kind of is showing me that when I'm around you, things happen. And when I was driving home from
Yeah, speak up, because
when I was driving home last week from Beyond Self, I had just this profound, I don't even know what to call it, recognition that felt like it happened in about 5 minutes, but it was layer, and then dropping a layer, and then dropping a layer, and I was in just a place of,
did everybody hear her okay? Okay, good.
I was in a place of awe and love and just the best way to say it is this was this absolute knowledge that I am not the doer. And weird things started happening. I got all like shaky and stuff and probably shouldn't have been driving, but it was dark. I was going over the grapevine and there was no place to pull over. So, and I had just this outpouring of what I call love, but to be honest, I question whether I know what love really is. It was a powerful kind of love and gratitude towards.
Well, then don't question it.
Okay, I don't know what else to call it, but that's.
What's wrong with love? What's wrong with calling it love?
He was definitely bigger than I am. He was something else.
All right, so don't let your mind screw with you, and love sounds right to me.
Okay. The reason I'm up here, however, is that I have a question, and that is, it was such a profound knowing that I thought, this is something I'll never not know again.
And then 5 minutes went by.
8.
Not that you were counting.
8 minutes and 10 seconds to be exact. By the next day, I was at work, and I was sucked into the current of humanity, society, and I was right back in identification with the personality. And throughout the week, I had maybe I call them pinpricks of awareness. But that's all they were. And then they were,
So don't denigrate that. That's a lot.
okay. My question,
The mind wants to trivialize it. The mind wants to denigrate it. The mind wants to say, oh, pinpricks, that's nothing.
yeah, okay.
Well, when have you had pinpricks before?
You know, I used to have maybe 2 a year,
Yeah. So you had them all week?
maybe 2 or 3 a week. Yeah, since coming.
So you had as many in a week as you used to have in a year.
Yeah,
And you want to complain.
yeah. It sounds kind of silly. Doesn't it?
Well, that's the mind. The mind wants to judge and, complain and say, well, if I had 3, I should have had 6. And if I had 6, I should have had 20. And, don't cooperate so readily.
My mind goes to,
Not your mind, every mind.
mind goes to what is missing.
Yeah, what's lacking?
What is lacking in me that I can't not remember, that I can't stop forgetting.
Yeah, so I've addressed this endlessly, and I will continue to address it endlessly because it's everybody's issue until it isn't. Well said, Premodaya. I like that. It's everybody's issue till it isn't. So you speak this, now you're speaking for everybody. It's not generic, it's specific to everyone. There's nothing possible in this remembrance thing. The mind says if I can remember it, that's the key, that's the trick. Just remember the right thing, whether it was an experience, whether it was a realization, whether it was a knowing, whether it was a moment of awe or truth or whatever. If I can just hold on to it, that's the key. You cannot, I'm going to say it for the 10,000th time, and I'm going to say it probably 1,000,000 times before I die. You can't hold on to anything. It's not the way it works. So it's never about remembering. What you actually need to remember, you'll remember because it actually went in. You trying to hold on is guaranteed not to work. Other than to frustrate you, it'll work that way. So it's never about remembering what's important. It's never about remembering something you realized. If it's an actual realization, meaning a true recognition, something of the truth, then either it penetrated or it didn't. And you don't have to do nothing. Either it's in you or it's not. Either it's your time or it's not. So we all carry this idea, almost all of us, at least in this society, that it's about remembering good enough. Somehow, what we read, what we hear, what we realize. You've got to get it sooner or later, one way or another, that it's never, ever about remembering anything. Be done with the false notion that there's something to grab onto and keep. That is not spiritual life. That is not even expanded awareness. That's just memory. Memory is just utilitarian. It will not liberate you. It will not get you to God. It will not give you truth. It will not give you self. It will not give you anything other than a headache. I can't remember almost anything anymore. Really. Ask my son. And the interesting thing is, I don't care. You think I'm joking, but this is serious stuff. Yeah, my doctor sent me for memory testing. Really. I'm going in tomorrow for memory testing. He said, something's wrong with your memory. I said, I don't care. All I need to remember, for real, all I need to remember is the conversations I have with you. Everything else, and I remember those really good. I remember what you said to me years ago. Sometimes you're shocked because I say, 4 years ago you said, there's nothing wrong with my memory when it comes to you. The rest, who cares? It's not important. This is what's important. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. The rest is just, and I have a wonderful son who functions as my memory. So I'm not worried. If the doctor says your memory's shot, I say, did you meet my son? What do I need a memory for? Now, I'm not worried. I know what the test is going to come back. He's going to come back, you're 60 years old now. There's nothing wrong with you, and your memory's not what it used to be. Big news, And here's the bill.
Oh, forgot to pay.
Bill for what? I don't remember any tests. So really, there is nothing important can be remembered. If it's important for real, meaning spiritually significant, it has to be taken in, not remembered. It has to become part of you. It goes in your cells. It doesn't go in your memory bank. So it's how open are you? How available are you? How receptive are you? Not how good can you remember some wise thing that got said that's obviously true. It's not about that.
So, I don't think it's about remembering.
Yes.
I hear what you said.
Yeah, so that was more for everybody, because this is everybody's issue, like I so wisely said, till it's not.
Okay, and I get what you said.
Yes.
It makes sense.
But your issue,
But my issue.
well, no, hold on, I'm going to tell you what your issue. I don't care what you think.
But you just said that you don't run my life, so. But go ahead.
Telling you what's important for you to understand is not running your life.
But please tell me. That's why I'm up here.
Well, now I'm wondering if I should.
No.
Getting some resistance here.
You can always forget.
I have a doctor's note.
Don't forget. Tell me.
Who are you again?
It doesn't matter. Or is
This is the pregnant pause. Hold on.
It's not like menopause. is it?
So this is the oldest and strongest story you've been telling yourself from day one. Right? That you're not there, you're far away, you're not going to get there, you're not where you want to be. God is far away, truth is far away, spirituality eludes you somehow. This is your mantra.
You're starting to poke holes in it. But yeah, it's been my strongest story.
That's your mantra. The whole world can become self-realized, and only you will be left behind. So this has to stop being your mantra. This has to not be your mind game for the rest of your life. And yes, that's my job, not to poke holes in this, but to absolutely demolish it. If you really cooperated, it wouldn't be holes, it'd be more big chunks. But I'll take what I can get, and over time, if you don't run, I will huff and puff and blow your mantra down.
Well, you show me where I'm not cooperating, I'll start cooperating.
I wish it was that easy. I'll wait for the laughter to subside. That's another illusion most people carry, and you've said this to me many times. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it.
You told me to grow up.
I've told everybody who asks me what to do every time they ask me, but a person can't see their own non-availability. A person can't see their own resistance. A person can't see their own non-cooperation until they can start to see it a little bit. So you have to have some patience. You have to have enough openness to start to see yourself a little bit objectively. My whole job is to simply be objective. You can't be subjective. You're the subject. You can't be objective about yourself. I can't, you can't, nobody can. You're the subjective position. The guru is the objective position, but not speculating, seeing, and giving you hopefully useful information. It's up to you to decide whether it's useful or not. If you say holes are being poked, then apparently there's some usefulness. So you start poking as many holes as you can. Stop any way you can living this mantra, repeating this mantra to yourself every time your mind wants to say it. Your mind will keep saying it. You start arguing back. You start telling it where to go, where to stick it.
I can see it now. I couldn't even see that I was repeating the mantra before.
You've been living the mantra. You're a spiritually aware, spiritually committed, spiritually sincere person who comes here always saying, I don't have any real spirituality. You're out of your mind. That mantra is all that's fooling you. So that mantra has to atrophy, has to be allowed to die off. I have to strangle it. You have to help me. And when that mantra has gasped its last breath, you'll be able to see better what's already true. Until then, you'll keep that worried look on your face.
Okay.
But if you're driving up the grapevine and love inundates you, How far away can you be?
Your proximity seems to have something to do with it.
I was nowhere near the grapevine that night. I heard it through the grapevine.
But I mean, I had to, whenever I leave from our evenings, that's typically when I have.
Well, that's because I hypnotize you.
Well. Could you please make it last all week?
That's the same as remembering.
Okay.
I can't do anything that isn't already in you. I'm a catalyst. Every true teacher is nothing other than a catalyst. If it isn't in you, and it's in everybody, then I don't have any magical powers. Well, I know everything, according to her. Other than that, and I can fly.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Keep going.
So were you uncomfortable?
Not
See, you forgot to be uncomfortable.
only for the first minute.
Yes. Just because you're young and sweet. I told her before the meeting started that I was madly in love with her, and she handled that. She didn't go like, hey, how can you not be in love with this? Look at this. I mean in a fatherly kind of way.
So, the last time that I was here, you said, or you told me that I could choose.
Where's your friend you brought that time? She was nice.
She
Did I scare her away?
No, she really liked it, but she spent last night. She couldn't come tonight, so. But she wanted.
She was at Marianne Williamson's?
No.
Okay. Can everybody hear her okay?
Barely.
Yeah, gotta speak up.
So the last time, is that better? Okay. The last time that I was here, you told me that I could try to use, not try, that I could use everything as a way to get closer to God. And so I left here obsessing on, and like when you said that, and I was nodding yes, what I was thinking was like when my boss tells me, because I work at a restaurant, hey, go polish the silverware, that I'd polish like everyone really good and like really thorough and like be totally like in the moment polishing this silverware. And so I tried like doing things like that and like thinking about it, and it was like in my mind a lot. But I remember you were like, yeah, arduous. So I was like, okay, well this is pretty arduous, like she was talking about. And it was making me crazy. Like
Yeah, you're describing torture, not
was
practice.
It was not, torture. And so I decided I'm not doing this anymore. This one must not be for me. And, but I noticed, since, I didn't realize it really until I was sitting here, but since that time, actually I'm not sure I have posted before, but since that time, there's been like, it seems like the.
You came over the grapevine too, right? From Channel Islands? You have to come over the grapevine?
No, I
No.
don't live on the Channel Islands.
Oh,
No. But there's these other, I don't know, like the bigger things, like with my money, like just like problems, challenges, that come up. I didn't used to have like any choice on whether or not I was like trusting God.
what does that mean?
Destiny, like,
You mean you trusted God automatically? You didn't have any choice?
No, I did not trust. I'd be
Oh.
like, oh my god, and I'd be like fighting and like financial insecurity. That's like a big one, like siren for me. Like that's something that could send me into a tailspin.
Fighting what?
Like fear of financial insecurity.
Oh, financial insecurity.
And I just wanted to make sure. My whole thing I was coming into for was like to make sure like these things like I'd be in my restaurant like and it's like all of a sudden like I could make a choice like I'm just gonna trust that everything's like gonna be okay and like make this like use those opportunities like have those be opportunities to get closer to my higher power. Even though when I say it out loud, I think, oh my god, now it's not gonna work anymore. I'm not gonna do it anymore. But since then, I've been able to like take.
Well, now you're talking about superstition. Well, just keep going.
Well, I was just gonna see if I was just fooling myself or if I was really making progress. It sounds like maybe not.
Well, I always recommend reality. I always recommend dealing with the facts. So financial insecurity is a possibility. Why tell yourself, oh, I'll just trust and everything will turn out okay? Everything may turn out horrible.
Well, I got that when I walked with like $30 the other day, and then like I mean I don't have like all these different things going on. I'm getting that, but I'm trying to like.
So instead of trying to make yourself trust, because that's superstition. That's like, oh, if I just throw up my hands and assume everything will work out, then hopefully it will. That's like carrying a rabbit's foot. That's just superstition. The facts are what the facts are. Things work out, things don't work out, things go good, things go bad. All the above happens sooner or later. That's the facts.
No, I don't think.
Anybody wants to argue that, you'll lose. So beware of pseudo-spiritual, superstitious thinking. And stick to the facts, and then you don't need to make yourself trust, because trust is the natural byproduct of actually recognizing the facts in their naked factuality. Anything else is artificially trying to adopt a position, and that's
Comforting for a time.
exactly.
And now I feel like I want to cry. Like,
Yeah, it's comforting, it's a false security, it's fooling yourself that everything is going to be the way you hope it's going to be. And then when something comes along, which it inevitably will, that isn't the way you hope it'll be, then you'll be disappointed, frustrated, angry, or upset. So I'm in favor of not fooling oneself. I'm in favor of facing the facts. And trust, I'll say it again, trust is the result of seeing the facts clearly and seeing for yourself how things actually work. That's when real trust starts to arise. Real trust is not blind faith. Real trust is based on facts. Real trust is based on seeing how things actually tend to work out for you in your real life. That kind of trust you can take to the bank. That kind of trust is bedrock because it's not based on some idea. It's not based on superstition. It's not based on how you hope things will be. It's based on what's actual, what's real. Well, you're too young to know. Don't worry about it. The point is, don't sell yourself a bill of goods that you should trust. Deal with reality. Deal with the fact. If financial insecurity is a worry for you, do something about it. Yes. So that's realistic. But don't, on top of it, convince yourself, oh, I'll just trust the universe that everything will work out. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But the idea to tell yourself that is superstition. Because you don't know what the next moment is going to bring. Nobody does.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess like half the time, like I was going with the like, oh, everything will work out tomorrow. I'll make some more money and I'll be able to pay like this or that. But the other.
Well, just recognize that those are hopes, and hopes have no value.
Yeah.
The facts can never take you in the wrong direction because facts are facts. Now, when you're younger, you try to avoid the facts. The older you get, the harder it is to avoid the facts. And hopefully, if you mature as you go along, you get smarter about accepting the facts.
Well, it seems like if I don't, like, for instance, my credit card, like I was not looking at the facts and I created, it's not as big of a mess as I thought. Like it's.
So that has to be dealt with,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
not in your mind.
Right.
Yeah, so God didn't do that, I didn't do that.
That's not what I mean.
I know. I'm just saying that don't go anywhere else other than your own backyard. Here's a mess I created. I'm going to have to clean it up.
Right. But like I'm trying to use that as like an opportunity to like get closer to my higher power.
Why? Why not just clean it up and see
What happened?
what the result is?
Could feel so much nicer.
But that's
like cotton candy.
yeah. That's adding a layer of fluff. That's adding a layer of false comfort, and false comfort doesn't get you anywhere. Like cotton candy, it doesn't give you anything nutritious.
I feel like she does.
I'm a very, very nasty guy. My job is to take away all your phony security blankets. It really is. Because if you want the truth, you can't hold on to these security blankets. This is not a secure life.
It's so hard. Like, how do you feel like grounded in anything?
Who says you're supposed to feel grounded?
I'm floating. Like
That's
I'm
right.
Floating off. That makes me feel crazy, and I don't like it.
In the beginning, that's in the beginning, that's most people's reaction. You have to learn to tolerate that initial nausea.
Oh my god.
You're on a goddamn rock spinning in space. What? That's a fact. No, for real. I'm not even trying to be funny. You're on a rock spinning in space. And you want to tell yourself some bill of goods that I'm supposed to feel secure. This is not reality. Any feeling of security you have is your false mind trick. In the beginning, when you first start to accept, and you have a certain trust in me, so when you first start to accept this, yes, it's nausea, you feel terrible, you feel like the nightmare is happening, that's right. But nothing is happening that isn't already there. Look, either you're on a rock that's spinning in space or you're not. We happen to know that's factually true. So nothing has changed. You've always been on the rock spinning in space from the day you were born. Nothing has changed. You're just confronting the reality by being willing to hear me say it and make you nauseous. And that nausea passes the more you actually face that reality and say, the facts are the facts. This is a rock spinning in space. What am I telling myself? There's security. Any minute, who knows? And now she's really going to be sick. And the only thing guaranteed is sooner or later, and it's sooner, you're going to die. And you want to talk about security and comfort. Are you nuts? No, but I'm talking to everybody now. It's nuts to have these ideas. You got to grow up and look at the facts. That's what grow up means. You are willing to consider the facts for real. Well, there's two facts right there that if you really ponder them, yes, you'll get depressed, you'll get nauseous, you'll feel like you're losing your mind, but that's the temporary first reaction of letting go of the illusion of comfort and security, which are false commodities. The real spiritual life, the real spiritual path, requires you to let go of the false commodities. That's not fun. That's not easy. And it doesn't feel like bliss and light. It feels like, oh my God, the rug is pulled out from under you. But that's a stage. It gets better.
Because right now I feel like, well, then what is the point of doing all the work?
That's
Like,
a,
that's like, I mean, it's like
the question, no. The question is, do you want false comfort or do you want reality? Which can be said in other words. Do you want your own illusion or do you want God? Do you want the facts or do you want truth? That's the only question. You have to decide. If you want false comfort, if you want illusion, if you want what feels good but isn't real, you have that right and that ability, and you absolutely can choose that. And I'm not going to tell you not to. I'm going to tell you, be honest with yourself. If that's what you want, great. But don't fool yourself that you want reality if you're not willing to let go of false comfort, because you can't have both at the same time.
Because that's that willingness, I feel, that's the thing I feel like I've been talking about that.
Yes. That's the trouble. The trouble for you is it's already too late. You already came into this life totally willing for God, totally willing for truth. You can't, as much as you might want to, you don't have the power to fool yourself. It isn't in you. You arrived already God-seeking. That's obvious. Maybe not to all pairs of eyes, but to my eyes it's obvious, and probably to many others. So, sorry, but there are limitations in life, and yours is a spiritual limitation. You have no choice. You're a spiritual girl. You can try to fight your way out of the paper bag. It won't do any good. So the sooner you accept that what really matters to you is real, the sooner you accept who you really are and what your priorities really are, the better off you'll be. And I'm being very blunt with you, and I know it hurts. You are a spiritual person by nature, and you are not going to be able to run away from it. It's that plain and simple. Now go home and cry. This is the blessing of your life. But until you see it for yourself and accept it for what it is, it'll feel like a limitation. It'll feel like a curse. It'll feel like something that is painful. But in the future, you'll see the blessing of it, and you'll, on your knees, thank God for it.
Well, it's like, where do you go from here? Like, well, now what? I'm just going to drive home and go about my little life? Like, what? Like, here's the class. Like, now I go into my life.
There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. I'm a spiritual person. That's the only place for you to go. Accept it. Accept it because it's true. You don't have to believe me, but if you want to take it on consignment, in the meantime, till you yourself see that there's no way out for you, fine. And if you want to reject it, that's fine too. Just be honest with yourself. Okay? So there's no dilemma here, there's no problem. It's my contention in simply seeing you that you are a spiritual person, and that is the essence of your life. There's nothing to do with that except decide whether that's right or not.
Okay,
Okay?
I guess. I'll just decide. Sounds like it doesn't really matter. Okay.
It matters how much you're aware of it or not, because that will determine your degree of confusion or lack of it.
But there's nothing I can do about it.
That's only my contention. You may come up with something different. I believe there's nothing you can do about it. I believe that that's God's gift to you. I believe that that's the blessing of your life.
So I'm saying, like, then what? Like, okay, like, now?
Forget then what, that's the mind racing ahead. First you need to see whether that's true or not. Because just because I say so doesn't make it true. You need to see it with your own eyes, whether it's true or whether it isn't true. So don't run away from that responsibility by running ahead with the mind, say, oh, well, what do I do next? First, decide if it's true or not. You can't do that in 5 minutes. Sit with it, live with it, and see if it's true. Whether that takes a day, a week, or a year. Okay? Thanks, I think. You know, I don't talk down to you. Ever. I'd like to. I'm required to tell you everything I can tell you when the opportunity is there, when you raise your hand, when you come up, when whatever interaction we have, I have to give you whatever it is I can give you. I don't have a choice about that. And there are people with whom I can be blunt, and there are people who will not benefit if I'm too blunt, and I have to make a determination where you fall and what I can say, how much, how quick, how fully, how much I have to couch it in acceptable terms. And all of that is up to you. I have to follow your lead. You are someone I always speak bluntly to. And most of you are. So sometimes you think I'm being too blunt. It's just a measure of what you're capable of. You should take it as a compliment, that you're not being treated like a child, that you're being talked to adult and being told whatever it is I can tell you based on my vision, meaning what I see in you, and that bluntness isn't a personality factor in me. I'm capable of any degree of bluntness or obtuseness. It's a factor of what you are willing to receive. And most of you are more willing than you realize. You know, people love to come and say, oh, I feel all this resistance. Usually not. You come in unbelievable trust. You never laid eyes on me, and you come in here in unbelievable trust, phenomenal love. You come really with a trusting heart. You come really with an open mind. You think you come with all this resistance, but that's your illusion. So seeing that trust, seeing that willingness, seeing that love, seeing that open-heartedness, how can I do anything except give you everything I can? That's my job. And you're a joy and a delight.